Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be with our next guest. We're going to talk about controlling your breathing and stress reduction, which obviously is extremely important. And so we're here with Taylor Somerville. He is the founder of Symmetry. And Taylor, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Let's start with a little bit of your backstory, your personal story in terms of how you got into breathing and relaxation and stress reduction and corporate wellness. That's a big piece of this as well. So give us a little bit of your backstory though.
Okay. I was actually in the financial industry for 15 years, right out of college. Got out there in early 2000s, right after the first stock market, NASDAQ bubble crash, graduated college in 2001. Got into the financial world, very high stress. Last 11 years of that, I was on a trading floor, doing trading interest rates, working in on the econ department at a commodity firm. Just very high stress, had a lot of anxiety, always slightly reactionary. It was something, I was up 4 o'clock in the morning at the computer, is at 6, looking at 4 screens all day, and really just struggling to handle stress in my own life. And I also went through a divorce during that time, and which just compounded the stress I was feeling. And what I found was I started doing meditation, and meditation just by some simple following my breath, mindfulness meditation, noticed how that began to calm me down. And I'm the type of person who really likes to dive deep into a subject when I like it. And so I ventured out and found a host of other techniques, and very much stuff that's been around for thousands of years, stuff the military uses. Started getting into these techniques, and that really just changed how I was able to handle stress, how I felt I could move through my day, how I was more able to respond instead of react. And then not only with the breathing practices, but do a lot with cold therapy, contrast therapy, ice baths and saunas, putting yourself in intense, stressful situations, learning how to handle them, and then transferring that over into the real world. And so at that point, I was looking around and didn't want to be doing what I was doing for the rest of my life. I went out to California to what's called an XPT experience that Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese, he's a big wave surfer. She's a pro volleyball player. They have these experiences at their house in Malibu. Go out there, and it's all, I would say, type A individuals. You got pro athletes, you got doctors, lawyers, finance people from all over the world, really about 20 people. And they throw you into the fire and in the practices they were using, and the breath work, the heat and ice, the pool. And I just came away floored. And at that point, I knew that was something that I was going to have for the rest of my life. Got really involved with them. I'm now one of their master coaches. There's only about 6 of us around the world, and brought all these practices back to Memphis and started teaching them in group settings. And from there, it's just grown since then.
So describe Symmetry, because you've covered a little bit of the different areas that you specialize in, but describe overall what you do with Symmetry.
So what I really do is I help busy people take back control of their lives, have more time, more energy, and less stress. And the foundation of everything is breathing, proper breathing, which most people are not doing correctly, which you think that's probably crazy. So a lot of one-on-one work. I have a program that deals one-on-one with clients, and we're looking at not only your breathing, your mindset, your nutrition, your movement patterns, your relationships, and how you're sleeping and recovery. That's a big part of it as well. And then I have virtual classes that are stress focused. I have a class that's just for breathing for health, really helps you deal with anxiety and stress as well. And then my class that we'll have here shortly on Friday afternoon is what I call the journey of the breath. And it really is showing you what you can do with the breath, ramping your nervous system up and down. Then I also do the heat and ice contrast therapy. So we're getting in saunas, we're getting in ice baths. I used to travel around a good bit to do that at different gyms, doing workshops, combining all of this. With COVID, kind of took a step back with everything. Now it's much more smaller groups, private type sessions. And now that the summer's picking up, we do a lot of pool workouts. So you're really learning how to control your breath. We use dumbbells in the water. You're doing a lot of plyometric movements, swimming, holding weights, get you out of your comfort zone no matter what you do or your fitness level. You can be a very good in the gym, very athletic, get in the water, and everybody tries to, especially nowadays, you try to push, and sometimes you just got to let go. And that's really what you learn in the water, and learn how to relax the mind and control the mind there as well.
A lot of the workshops and the seminars, these kind of larger forums, are perfect for corporate groups, but talk about corporate wellness and your work around corporate wellness.
Yeah, so it's coming in and showing people, here's some easy techniques you can do. For one, let's teach you how to breathe. For one, breathe through your nose most of the day. That can get people 90% of the way there. Breathe slower, breathe lower, down into the belly, using the diaphragm. Just doing small, informative webinars, like now with Zoom. And then we'll go through breath sessions, give you techniques that you can use at any moment. And what it's really about is creating awareness, because with awareness, then we can have change, and building on that and just using simple techniques. It's not something you have to, massively revamp your life with. It is just what I like to call transitions through your day. So especially nowadays, people are a lot on Zoom or meetings. You're constantly moving, constantly flowing. Between those, just taking 1 minute, checking in with your breath, learning where you start to feel stress in your life, because stress hits us in the body before it hits us in the mind. Once the mind starts snowballing, we try to stop it with the mind, and you can't. So it is learning that we got to use the body to stop the mind, and that's where the breath really comes in.
Where do you like to start, especially with a private client and you're getting to know them, especially through Zoom? And, what are the questions you like to start asking to get a feel for where those stressors are, and then to start creating that path? Walk us through kind of the first steps, if you will.
So it's really finding out their problem areas, where they're struggling. A lot of people, that tends to be sleep, and being able to turn it off, because nowadays everybody's kind of in this chronically stressed state. And it's not that stress is good or bad. It is, we need to be able to ramp up when we're, want to turn on for that meeting, for that presentation, but then you got to be able to shut it off. And so it's finding where they're having problems doing that kind of stuff, getting stuck in those ruminating thoughts, and giving them some techniques, creating just small habit changes. Really big on building habits, whether it's, putting the phone away for the first hour in the morning, not jumping on that email right when you wake up. Those are a lot of the big, initial things that I kind of get with people is, let's not check that email right when you get up, because it's just going to have your day coming at you, and you want to get in front of your day. Spend at least 5 to 10 minutes doing something else. Go outside, go for a walk, have your coffee, looking at the sun, and then allow yourself to get into that. And so it's, trying to figure out those problem areas, and then working back and really teaching them the principles of what we're doing, because we know how it affects most people, but everybody's slightly different. So giving you the principles and allowing you to tweak this stuff as we go through 3 months together, really dialing in what's going to work for you and your lifestyle.
When it comes to breathing, you mentioned already breathing through your nose and the deep breaths, the diaphragm. What are some of your favorite kind of tips, if you will, right out of the gate to just kind of encourage people to do?
So one of the ones I give is try to 3 times a day for 5 minutes, slow your breath down to 6 breaths a minute. So just in through the nose, out through the nose, in for 3, pause, out for 6. See if you can do that. And then I'm saying, if it's not 5 minutes, do it for 1. So just that slowing down, slowing your breath down is a first key, and giving them a couple of tools to handle stress in the moment. So I have a few protocols, taking a couple quick breaths in through the nose, out of the mouth, just like a, then focus on slowing down your exhale. As you slow down the exhale, the nervous system and brain begins to slow down, begins to calm down, and realize everything's okay. So, giving them some techniques they can quickly use in the moment, and then building a slightly better practice. But, the main thing though, is if you're breathing through your nose, you're getting there. You're beginning the step and beginning the progress, because we're habitually mouth breathing. You see that a lot, breathing in the upper chest, and that just causes you to stay in a stress state and getting that cortisol, adrenaline, all those types of hormones constantly getting produced through the body. And it's learning how to get into the nose. You shut it down a little bit.
Talk about the contrast therapy, because, heat and ice and heat, those have been used for generations. And there's so much of a benefit, but at the same time, I think people, one, just don't really know how to use it, how to be effective. And then you automatically think ice, whoo, that's cold. Like, so talk about the contrast therapy.
Yeah, it's cold. And it freaks everybody out. You look at an ice bath and that puts you in the massive fight or flight. It is, get me out of here right now. And what we're doing in there is you got a host of physical benefits for your immune system, for what they call cold shock, heat shock proteins, inflammation, massive benefits in both the sauna and the ice. But I'm really big on the mental benefits. When you put yourself into a situation like that, and then we go through breathing protocols, here is what you're going to do when you get in the ice. We get in, we go all the way under, come up. And I tell people it's not about staying in the full 3 minutes is what we're shooting for. It's about staying in longer than you want to and breaking that emotional reaction function that says, get me out of here right now. So tell them, just give me 3 more breaths when that hits. Let's get your breath under control. Then we'll see how you feel. If you still want to get out, we'll get you in the sauna and we'll roll back through. I usually have about 6 people doing this together. A lot of them have been doing it for a long time, and it becomes somewhat addictive because by the time the first session you go, the first round, we do 3 rounds in the ice. First round's very intense. It hits you in the face, but we use the slow breathing protocols. After about the first minute, typically people calm down and can relax into it. Then you get in the sauna, get warmed up. Everybody's kind of laughing, getting to know people, new people. And by the end of it, you feel really good. You sleep amazing that night. You tend to most people get a little bit, kind of amped up and then really relax. So you have a big recovery benefit from it. Then you have a nice meal, go to bed, and feel great the next day.
Talk about the long game, because you're putting out a lot of good content via newsletter. So talk about kind of the communication side of what you do.
Yeah, so I have a newsletter I actually started before I left my job and started all this stuff. And it's called The Long Game. Goes out every Saturday. I also send a newsletter out with Symmetry on Sundays. A lot of times it's overlapping material, but it is basically, we're talking about mindset. We are talking about, how you can improve yourself with breathing. Very much gets into mindset and building better habits, building routines, getting out of those kind of negative feedback loops that we all get stuck in, those stories. Then I provide about 6 different articles, videos, podcasts, stuff that I've come across, books that I read because I'm a pretty voracious reader. And so just try to pass along information. I've always liked to curate a lot of information and give it out. And it's an easy way to do it.
Feedback that you're getting from your clients, and obviously how this has tremendously changed you in your life personally, what sort of feedback, what is that kind of the testimonial side? What does that look like so far on your end?
That they're much better able to handle the stress. They are, and one of the things I do is, creating those habits. And one of my clients recently mentioned how it's like giving her rules for the road that she now has. She was always worried about having kind of a routine and things to do, but now they help her get through the day. And, they have the ability in stressful situations. Have a lot of clients who can deal with some stress and anxiety, get a little attack, kind of panic attack almost situation, how they've used those in the moment to help, the protocols in the moment to help bring them down and recover, and just how they're able to let things roll off their back, handle the stuff that they need to handle and move forward and not let it ruminate throughout the day or flow over to the next day as well.
What have you learned in this process as an entrepreneur?
That it's not easy. That there's a whole lot that goes into it when you're doing your own. There's a lot of sales and marketing, and it's also not getting caught up in comparing and what everybody else is doing, just trying to stay in my own lane and do what I'm capable of doing. And also finding people who I mesh with, who we can collaborate on things, and realizing, we're all just out here trying to help others and do well. And there's a huge pie, and it's not that, anybody's taken from the others. Just let's grow the pie together. So I really love collaborating with different groups and different people, whether in Memphis or, around the country.
So where do we go to take the first steps? How do we take the first steps in terms of reaching out, following you and your efforts and Symmetry? Where do we go? How do we start taking action?
You can find my website, www.symmetry.live. I've got some free ebooks on breathing, also on the program that I do, which is called the Symmetry 6. It goes over all those topics that I spoke about. I'm on Instagram at symmetry.live as well.
Well, Taylor, greatly appreciate all you do. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.